I just got back from a trip to Japan and South Korea. This is actually the third time that we've done this trip, and honestly, I just never get tired of exploring these places. Japan is so packed with culture and variety, from big cities like Tokyo to quiet traditional countryside areas. I feel really lucky that I'm able to travel to these places, and honestly, I know people tend to hype up Japan so much to the point where it has actually caused quite a bit of over-tourism. But from all of the places that I managed to visit all around the world, at least so far, Japan to me feels like one of those places that I just never get tired of. Genuinely, because just how much there is to explore and also how nice the people are around that area. So I thought I'd make a video covering some of the purchases I made, including matcha from different regions, candies that make great gifts, and of course, the main thing which we'll be focusing on, the tech items, especially since I managed to find some great deals this year. Kit Kat is something truly unique in Japan, with a huge variety of flavors, many of which are limited editions. You can actually find some seriously unusual combinations, like miso Kit Kat, soy sauce Kit Kat, and even wasabi Kit Kat, which I guess that makes them fun, potentially quirky gifts, or if you're just curious to try these out yourself. I'm actually not big on sweets, so these will mostly be gifts. However, I did try out a few while I was in Japan, and personally I enjoyed the strawberry one, the matcha, the white chocolate, and this one over here, the blueberry cheesecake. It does taste really good. The other candies that I bought were just to have a bit more variety, but if I have to highlight some of them, it would be this baked creamy cheese, which has a very interesting flavor. Also this kalbi, which is basically spicy cod roe with cheese flavor. Sounds like a very weird combination. Now, funny thing about this one, neither me nor Chris remember actually purchasing it. I think it must have accidentally fell from the shelf into our basket, since the rows in Tokyo were quite narrow. Since I visited Japan the first time in 2023, I've tasted some great quality matcha latte and also matcha tea. And since then, I've been pretty much drinking it daily. I decided to stock up directly from Japan because buying matcha there is just naturally more affordable, especially since high quality matcha usually gets imported from Japan anyway. I also attended a matcha grinding workshop at the Chizuna Tea facility in Uji this year. They taught us about the traditional process of grinding matcha by hand. It was really fascinating to see how much care and precision goes into creating high quality matcha powder. And of course at the end we got to actually taste the fresh matcha that we made right there. There are so many gacha spots all around Japan, it's just practically impossible to resist trying your luck at least once. Gacha machines have all sorts of fun, quirky toys and collectibles. Honestly, part of the excitement is just not knowing exactly what you'll get, which kind of makes them perfect for small, memorable souvenirs or gifts. I ended up with those 3 cute little toys. Oh wait, no way. I actually thought that this thing, for whatever reason, it was just that. But I realized you can actually open it up. Sometimes some of the gacha stuff that you can end up getting can be quite lame. I thought this was one of them, but apparently not. I actually got quite lucky. Also this RX-7 car, it's so tiny, first of all.
That's what she said!
Secondly, you can actually power on the headlights. I definitely just did not expect this. And of course, you can do some fun stuff. This portable stain remover was an absolute lifesaver. I initially found it at a 7-Eleven store, and pretty soon after, literally the same day, I accidentally stained my t-shirt while eating ramen. It worked amazingly well. After just about 10 minutes, the stain was completely just gone. I find this thing super convenient, especially because it's so small, enough to easily carry around with you, especially ideal for traveling or if you're just a bit clumsy like me. Initially, we planned on visiting the Nintendo Museum in Uji, but sadly the place was fully booked even 2 months in advance. So instead, we visited Nintendo Kyoto, and it turned out to be such a great alternative. There were so many cool items, from exclusive apparel like t-shirts to candies and just adorable plush toys. And they also had a dedicated rooftop area to take photos. Definitely worth a visit, especially if you're into Nintendo stuff. Okay, so I know this video is mostly about Japan, but since I also visited South Korea, I'd just like to show you those 3 miniature display model cars that I got myself from when we visited the Hyundai Motor Studio in Gangnam. If you're a car enthusiast and you're ever in the area, definitely give this place a go. There's so many cool things to see there. There would be more items that I could show you, but I think it's time to move on to something that I know many of you are waiting for. Japan is definitely one of the best places for finding gadgets. It's the kind of place where you might stumble upon things that you didn't know even existed. Or in my case, rediscover consoles from your childhood. You can easily spend hours just exploring various shops. In fact, the last 2 times I was in Japan, I managed to grab a few gaming consoles, a Nintendo 3DS LL in this blue color, a red Nintendo DSi, and 2 PS Vitas, one of them being the 1000 model in crystal white and the 2000 model in this gorgeous light blue and white combo. I absolutely love the PS Vita, and like many people say, it really was a console that was way ahead of its time. But let's now talk about what I managed to find this time, because I really do think I was quite lucky. The first tech purchase that I made was when we stayed in Kyoto. We ended up going to this Suruguya specialty store. I definitely butchered that name. Same place where I actually bought the PS Vita 1000 model the previous year. This store always seems to have a great selection of both consoles, but also physical game copies, with some of them for very good prices. And this year, they seem to have quite a nice range of PlayStation portable models for very cheap prices. I ended up grabbing this PSP model in pink for 4,000 yen, which is basically $27. This is such an insane deal. And to top it off, it's in a pristine condition, and I also believe this is an original Sony shell. These days it's becoming so hard to find a PlayStation portable that's also in a good condition, and when you do, you most likely end up buying one that had its housing replaced, and most likely with a third-party one. The quality on those are usually hit or miss, and even the good ones out there, they still don't feel the same as the original Sony shell. The only thing about this crazy deal is the fact that it did not come with a battery. So while I was in Japan, I couldn't properly test it out. But now we're back and we can actually try it out. So, battery in. I think the battery is completely empty. It is charging. We'll come back to it later and actually test it out, because I legit haven't tried it out yet. Now, if you're not really interested in buying anything in particular, but you're more so interested in just seeing a great variety of gadgets, to the point where you can actually find some rare debugging consoles like this PlayStation 1 model, then Akihabara in Tokyo is still a great place to visit. But for purchasing stuff, not so much. Since it's such a popular place, prices have really skyrocketed in the last couple of years. But I went to one of the hard-off stores in the area, which are basically secondhand stores specializing in electronics, gadgets, and collectibles. They sell everything from lightly used items to products that are labeled as junk. And the secret to actually find great deals is to just go to the section called junk. They do have stuff that no one would ever purchase, but once in a while, you can also find great deals for products that they haven't or couldn't test properly. For example, you can find a product that had its battery removed, and because of that, they label it as untested. And that specific product could be in fact just working perfectly fine without any issues. And I've seen this happen a lot with PlayStation portables. But what I managed to find here is this iPhone X 256GB model, which was being sold for 10,000 yen. That is approximately $69. Nice. The actual condition of it, it looks so freaking good. It looks almost brand new. Most likely, the previous owner had a case and used a screen protector. Even when I try to look at the screen in a bright, harsh light, I can barely see any scratches on it. Like, actually nothing. And the back too. I do miss this form factor. It feels really good to hold it in hand. The only thing about it is basically the battery health, which for an older device, like, it's expected to be not great. This phone in particular has its battery at 74% capacity, but I've actually used this as a secondary phone while I was in Japan, and it like lasted me a whole full day. And to top it off, it is running an older version of iOS, specifically 16.1.1, which is actually jailbreakable. These days it's becoming so hard to jailbreak an iOS device, and even though it's not something that I really needed, it's just something that the geek inside of me really wanted. The other device which I actually bought from the same store was this 12-inch MacBook for 25,000 yen, or roughly $169. Double nice? I was in fact on the lookout for an Intel MacBook again in order to run some specific older macOS apps and also to be able to run Mac, Windows and Linux natively on a single device that would also be pretty portable. I know this device thermal throttles a lot, especially when you're in a warm environment, and the M1 MacBook would like just smoke this thing out of the water for just a few more $100s. But in the way that I do plan on using it, with a very specific like niche use case, I know, it won't really affect me. It was in its original box with all of the accessories, and the actual model is the last of its kind. The 2017 model with fully upgraded specs, so an i7 CPU, although still dual core, 16GB of RAM, and 512GB of SSD. So I still consider this a win. The issue with this one, yeah, the display. The display definitely had better days. Like, actually, I shouldn't say that. The display itself is like completely fine, but the coating that's on top, it's not looking that great. But when you actually like power on the device and use it, it doesn't look that bad. In any case though, I've made some research about it and found a couple of ways on how I can get rid of it. So I'll try some of these methods out and report back in the next couple of weeks. I think our PSP should have enough battery by now. So let's see. Okay, that's a good start. I miss the sound so much. I completely forgot that the Japanese model has the X and O buttons switched up between the two. What software version is it running? 3.95. Interesting, that's quite an old version. Maybe this whole PSP like actually wasn't used since then. And I mean, from purely how it looks, I would believe that. I'm super happy about it. Japan has so much to offer beyond just tech finds though. From amazing food and historic temples, to the vibrant energy of its cities, to the peaceful beauty of its countryside. So while hunting for gadgets can be fun, definitely don't let that be your only focus. Enjoy everything Japan has to offer, and if you happen to find a cool gadget along the way, consider it a bonus, and that's even better.